bow down prostrate. You are the only one worthy of praise.
A poet has said, رأيت أحق الحق حق المعلم وأوجبه حفظا على كل مسلم لقد حق أن يهدى إليه كرامة لتعليم حرف واحد ألف درهم. In fact, Jalaluddin Suyuti rahmatullah alayhi has narrated a hadith in Jami'ul Hadith where Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, أفضل العبادة طلب العلم. The best form of ibadat is talabul ilm. Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal rahmatullah alayhi was old and he was running around with his inkpot and pen and paper. Someone asked him, you are running around with inkpot and pen paper at this age? And he replied, min al-mahdi ila al-lahd. That knowledge is from cradle to grave. So I have not gone to grave yet, so I still have to carry my inkpot and my paper and my pen. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses the word ta'zeem in Quran in Surah Al-Hajj. Whosoever does ta'zeem and respect of the symbols of Allah, then this is due to the taqwa of his heart. Sha'airullah, symbol of Allah, anything that is connected to Allah. Whether it's Ka'batullah, whether it's Makkah Mukarramah, whether it's Medina Munawwara. In the hadith there is narrated that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Tawada'u liman ta'allamuna minhu." Make yourself humble before those from whom you learn. Your teachers, you should humble yourself before them. Al-ilmu saydun wal-kitabatu qaydun. Ilm is a prey and writing it is hunting it. So when you write it, you have put it in the cage and you have caught it. So catch as much ilm as you can and don't let go of it. Who was the reader who was reading the hadith said, حدثكم الشافعي قال حدثني فلان. And Rabi ibn Sulaiman immediately stopped him. He said, ولا حرف حتى يقال رضي الله عنه. You can't move a single letter forward until you say رضي الله عنه with the name of Imam Shafi'i. And the reciter said, حدثكم الشافعي رضي الله عنه, and then he moved on. Hafiz ibn Hajar al-Asqalani rahmatullah alayhi, he also kept himself busy in one of three things: either teaching hadith to students, or tasneef ta'lif, writing books, or number three, reciting the Quran. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruhu ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن سيدنا ونبينا وشفينا وحبيبنا وسندنا ومولانا محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله تبارك وتعالى عليه وعلى آله وصحبه بارك وسلم تسليما كثيرا كثيرا. أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ذلك ومن يعظم شعائر الله فإنها من تقوى القلوب. وقال تعالى: ذلك ومن يعظم حرمات الله فهو خير له عند ربه. وقال تعالى: إن الذين يغضون أصواتهم عند رسول الله أولئك الذين امتحن الله قلوبهم للتقوى لهم مغفرة وأجر عظيم. صدق الله العظيم. Today I want to talk to you about adab, respect. Especially respect of the teachers, asatiza, especially respect of the muhaddithin from whom we learn hadith, and respect of hadith sharif itself, and respect of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, whose hadith we learn and teach. There are many books written for adab and respect. For example, Adabul Muta'allimin of Burhanuddin Zarnuji rahmatullahi alayhi, and Adabul Muta'allimin of Hazrat Maulana Siddiq Ahmad Sahab Bandwi rahmatullahi alayhi, and Hazrat Shaykh Maulana Zakaria Rahmatullahi alayhi has also kept a chapter in Awjazul Masalik, especially for adab. He has named it Adab Talib, the adab of a student. So, with adab and etiquettes and proper respect, if we study, then inshallah Allah will give blessing and barakat in our study, and He will bless us. In Farsi language, Persian, it is said that Be adab mahroom gasht az fazle rab. In Urdu, Ba adab ba naseeb, Be adab be naseeb. So, if you have adab and respect, then you will be fortunate, lucky, Allah will bless you. If you don't have adab, don't have respect, then you will be unfortunate. You will be deprived of the rahmat and barakat and blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I remember Hazrat Maulana Ashraf Ali Thanvi Rahmatullah alayhi mentions in Adabul Muasharat somewhere, etiquettes of social life, that there were two young boys of a similar age, maybe 10, 11, from same family, with same intellect. They both commenced their hifz. And one boy finished his hifz within 1 year. And the other boy took 2 years to complete. When it was checked that what is the reason for this, and it was noted that the first boy was very, very good-mannered, respectful. He used to perform wudu properly. He used to sit facing Ka'batullah Sharif, place Quran Pak on a high bench, and then, learn with proper adab and respect. Whereas the other one did not show so much respect to the Quran. Wuzu, not wuzu, stretching legs, facing Qibla, placing Quran here and there, not having proper respect for the teacher. So it took him time. So adab has effect on a person's learning. That is why adab and respect is very, very important. When we teach Hadith Sharif to the students at Darul Ulum, then in the beginning we teach them some adab related to Hadith itself. Learning Hadith, studying Hadith itself. I will go over some of them with the viewers. First adab we teach them is Ikhlasun Niyat. That you are embarking on a study of Hadith, and throughout the whole year you will be learning Sahih al-Bukhari, Sahih Muslim, Sunan Abi Dawud, Sunan Tirmidhi, Sunan Nasa'i, Sunan Ibn Majah, Muwatta Imam Malik, Muwatta Imam Muhammad, Shama'il al-Tirmidhi. So all these books you are going to study. If you collect all the ahadith, maybe you will be going over nearly 40,000 ahadith throughout this year, from Shawwal to the coming Ramzan, Sha'ban. So within these 10 months, you will be going over all these books. So why have you come to study hadith? First of all, your intentions should be correct. Ikhlas. Allah has said, وَمَا أُمِرُوا إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ مُخْلِصِينَ لَهُ الدِّينَ فَاعْبُدِ اللَّهَ مُخْلِصًا لَهُ الدِّينَ أَلَا لِلَّهِ الدِّينُ الْخَالِصِ. So, ikhlas, sincerity, is imperative. You can't do without it. If your niyat is correct, Allah will bless you. If your niyat is incorrect, you are just becoming an alim, a maulvi for name and fame, or just to get that label of Maulana Sahab or an alim. Then you can make lots of money or make your name, and you can do whatever you like, give fatwas or rulings, whatever you want. Then your niyat is not correct, and Allah will be displeased with you, Allah will be angry with you. So have ikhlas in your niyat. Allah said, فَعْبُدِ اللَّهَ and مُخْلِصًا لَهُ الدِّينَ. And talabul ilm is also ibadat. In fact, Jalaluddin Suyuti Rahmatullah alayhi has narrated a hadith in Jami'ul Hadith, where Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, أَفْضَلُ الْعِبَادَةِ طَلَبُ الْعِلْمِ. The best form of ibadat is talabul ilm. So you need ikhlas niyyat in talabul ilm as well, because it is also ibadat. You are doing an ibadat of Allah by working hard from morning till evening, sitting in lessons and going through this extensive course of study of hadith. Then it is an ibadat, a worship. So you need ikhlas in there. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam has said in the first hadith of Sahih al-Bukhari, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ وَإِنَّمَا لِمْرِئٍ مَّا نَوَى إلى آخر الحديث. So your niyyat should be correct. And if it is not correct, there is wa'id there. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, من تعلم علما مما يبتغى به وجه الله لا يتعلمه إلا ليصيب به عرضا من الدنيا لم يجد عرف الجنة يوم القيامة يعني ريحها. Whosoever learns, studies a science through which Allah's pleasure is sought, he does not study it except to earn some goods from the goods of this world, then such a person will not get the fragrance of Jannah, even though the fragrance of Jannah can be received from so and so a distance. So many years away Jannat will be when it is brought closer to the plane of resurrection, and Anbiya and Siddiqeen and Shuhada and Awliya and Salihin will get that fragrance from a distance, but this person will not get that fragrance because of his wrong intentions in acquiring the knowledge of Deen. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam mentioned similar wordings in another place. من طلب العلم ليماري به السفهاء أو ليباهي به العلماء أو ليصرف وجوه الناس إليه فهو في النار أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. Whosoever seeks knowledge in order to argue with the ignorant, stupid people, or in order to compete with the scholars, or in order to turn the faces of people towards him, then he will go into Jahannam. We have heard the hadith that on the day of Qiyamah, the first three persons through whom Jahannam's fire will be lightened and lit will be the alim, the shaheed, and the sakhi. The alim will be brought and he will say, yes, I learned, studied and I taught. Allah said that was only to get money from people for the dunya. You got that dunya, did not do it for me, I am sorry. He will be thrown into Jahannam. Similar case with the shaheed and sakhi. So, niyyat should be correct. All those students, whoever studies ilm deen, their niyyat should be correct. Ilm of dunya is for dunya. You become doctor, lawyer, barrister, engineer, very good, because you want to have a good life, and you should have a good life. May Allah give everyone a good life, peaceful life, blessed life. However, the dunyavi ilm is for dunya, and deeni ilm is for deen. So, you should differentiate between the two, and a student of deen and ilm deen should look like a student of ilm deen. This is what is being taught to us. Number 2, second adab of studying is mujahada, mihnat, hard work, effort. Don't be lazy. Work hard. Try your best. You might not be a very bright student, but if you try your best, Allah will open your mind up. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said, وَالَّذِينَ جَاهَدُوا فِينَا لَنَهْدِيَنَّهُمْ سُبُلَنَا وَإِنَّ اللَّهَ لَمَعَ الْمُحْسِنِينَ. Whoever strives in us, we will guide them upon our paths. And Allah is with those who do good. So you have to strive and work hard for anything, for everything. So for ilm, you have to work hard. And then hope for the best from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, منهومان لا يشبعان منهوم في العلم لا يشبع منه ومنهوم في الدنيا لا يشبع منها. Two greedy people are never satisfied. One who is greedy for knowledge, he will never be satisfied. And one who is greedy for wealth, he will never be satisfied. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said in another hadith, احرص على ما ينفعك واستعن بالله ولا تعجز فإن أصابك شيء فلا تقل لو فإن لو تفتح عمل الشيطان. احرص, be greedy, try and get the best which benefits you, and seek help from Allah, and do not become disabled and lose heart and say, oh, I'm not going to become a big alim, what's the point in learning, forget it. No, don't have that mentality. Change that mentality, work hard. Qazi Abu Yusuf rahmatullahi alayhi used to say, al-ilmu la yu'tika ba'dahu hatta tu'tiyahu kullak. Ilm will not give you a part of itself until you give ilm all of yourself. So if you hand yourself over to ilm and knowledge, then a little bit of ilm will come to you. Yahya ibn Abi Kasir said, لا ينال العلم براحة الجسم. Ilm cannot be achieved while giving rahat and aram and sukoon to your body. If you care about your body all the time, your eating, your drinking, your sleeping times, and your clothing, ironing the clothes, wearing the best of clothes all the time, in this manner you can't learn. Imam Shafi'i rahmatullahi alayhi used to say in the couplets, ash'ar, al-ilmu maghrasu kulli fakhrin faftakhir wahdhar yafutuka fakhru dhaka al-maghrasi wa'lam bi anna al-ilma laysa yanaluhu man hammuhu fi mat'amin aw malbasi illa akhul ilmi alladhi ya'ni bihi fi halatayhi 'ariyan aw muktasi. So this is the quotes of our ulama. You have to work hard in order to get ilm. Imam Shafi'i rahmatullah alayhi also said, لا يفلح من طلب هذا العلم بالتملل وغنى النفس ولكن من طلبه بذلة النفس وضيق العيش وخدمة العلم أفلح. A person who is lax and who is careless will not get this ilm if he wants it. However, a person who seeks knowledge while humbling himself, making his nafs and ego zaleel and humble and in front of the teachers, and while going through hard times, even if he doesn't have affluency and prosperity, but he still strives for it. And wa khidmatil ilm, while he does khidmat of ilm and ulama, then he will get this ilm, he will be successful. That is why someone said, من طلب بقدر الكد تكتسب المعالي ومن طلب العلا سهر الليالي. According to the hard work and effort, high ranks can be achieved. And whosoever wants to go high, then he has to stay awake at night. So you have to stay awake at night if you have to study, you have to learn, then you can get to the peak. And this is with regards to working hard. Our ulama mashayikh, they used to work hard throughout their lives, without fail. Qazi Abu Yusuf rahmatullahi alayhi, he studied throughout his life. Even when he is a qazi, he is still studying and reading. This reading, you can't stop it. You read and you study right till the end. Qazi Abu Yusuf rahmatullahi alayhi stayed in the khidmat of Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullahi alayhi for nearly 20 years. He didn't abandon him or leave him even on Eid day as well. He spent maximum time on Eid day with his Ustad Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullahi throughout these years. And that is how he went on to become Qazi Abu Yusuf. And he was the Qazi al-Quzad in the time of Khalifa Harun al-Rashid. And at the time of his death, there is an interesting incident narrated, that he was on his deathbed. His friend Ibrahim al-Harbi, along with others, came to visit him. So Ibrahim al-Harbi was sitting by his side, and Qazi Abu Yusuf rahmatullahi alayhi asked him, Ya Ibrahim, ma taqulu fi al-rami mashiyan afdalu am rakiban? Ibrahim, what do you say with regards to Ramyul Jamarat, pelting the shaitan at the Jamarat? Is it more virtuous to pelt that shaitan walking or riding? So Ibrahim paused for a moment and he said, Mashiyan. Abu Yusuf said, no, while walking. Then he said, Rakiban. riding? Abu Yusuf said, no. So he said, well, there's only two conditions. What is the third, condition? And Qazi Abu Yusuf, rahmatullah alayhi, said, كل رمي بعده رمي فهو ماشيا أفضل وكل رمي ليس بعده رمي فهو راكبا أفضل. That every rami after which there is another rami, then it is more virtuous to do that while walking. And every rami after which there is no rami, then it will be more virtuous to do it while riding. Because after that final rami, you have to proceed to Makkah Mukarramah for tawaf ziyarat. And after that there is no standing and waiting for dua. So you ride and you proceed. Whereas the rami is at three places. 1, 2, 3. So when you come, then the first rami, you have to make dua after it and then go to the second. So you do the, pelt it while walking and then you move forward. Second one, you pelt it, make dua, then move forward. Before you get to the third one, ride on your horse or whatever and then pelt it while you are on the horse or the camel and then continue to proceed towards Makkah Mukarramah. So Ibrahim al-Harbi says, I was amazed. I sat for a moment and then I took leave. And he said, as I went out of the room and then exited the large house of Abu Yusuf rahmatullahi alayhi, and I was going out of the gate and I heard the cry that his soul has departed. And I was amazed that this man, busy all his life in studying, teaching, even at the time of his death, his mind is busy in masail of deen. That is why someone saw Qazi Abu Yusuf after his death and asked him, how did you find death? And he replied, what death? I was busy thinking about a masla of deen and angel of death came and whisked my soul away. I didn't feel the pain of death. So this is the condition of our mashayikh ulama. This is what is mentioned, utlubul ilm min al-mahdi ila al-lahd. Seek knowledge from cradle to grave. Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal rahmatullah was old and he was running around with his inkpot and pen and paper. Someone asked him, you are running around with inkpot and pen paper at this age? And he replied, min al-mahdi ila al-lahd. That knowledge is from cradle to grave. So I have not gone to grave yet, so I still have to carry my inkpot and my paper and my pen. So this is, these are the ulama. We have a story regarding Shah Waliullah Muhaddis Dehlawi rahmatullah alayhi's family, that a young man in the family was studying the kitab and one of the attendants of the house passed by and he asked her to bring some water. So the father said, oh, ilm, knowledge has deserted our family. And the mother replied, why? And he said, look, he's studying, his mind is in the book, it should be in the book. And how did he think about the thirst? So his mind has gone towards the third, that means he's not into the book. So the mother said, don't worry, wait a minute. And she called upon the khadima and said that leave the water and take this white vinegar, which looks like water but it's vinegar, and give it to him. So she took it and she gave it to him. And while he was studying, busy in that, he just drank it. He didn't realize that he's drinking vinegar and not water. I couldn't feel the smell. So the father said, oh, alhamdulillah, ilm is not gone yet. There's still ilm left in our family. So this is how, they were careful that when you are into something, you should be into it, all of it, and don't abandon it, don't let go of it. So work hard and strive as much as you can. Sometimes a student might not be very bright, but if he keeps making an effort, Allah opens his heart and mind. Allama Sa'duddin Taftazani, the Imam of Ma'qulat, a great Imam. It is said that in his student days, he was not very bright, but he was very hard working. Other students might be playing outside, but he would be sitting inside reading his books, going through the footnotes and hawashi and trying to understand. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had mercy upon him. One night, he sees a dream that he is studying and someone knocks and he says, come with me, chalo mere saath. And he says, bhai, I am busy studying and please let me study, I have a lot of work to do. And the person says, chalo bhai hamare saath, Rasul Pak sallallahu alayhi wasallam is calling you. So he said, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam is calling, yes. So he gets up and he goes with that person, and Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam is sitting down beneath a tree, and he goes and he greets Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And then Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked him, Sa'ad, what is your problem? He said, yes, well, this is my problem. I work so hard, but I can't understand. My mind is not working. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, come closer. And then he said, iftah famak, open your mouth. So he opened his mouth, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam placed some of his blessed saliva into the mouth of Allama Sa'aduddin Taftazani rahmatullah alayh. And the dream finished. He woke up. In the morning, he came to the lesson, and when Ustad began to teach the lesson, his mind opened up, and the whole book and everything was before him, and he could understand everything clearly. So when the Ustad began to teaching, then during the lesson, he had a question, so he rose his finger and said, Ustad, can I ask a question here, please? And yes, and he asked the question. So Ustad said, MashaAllah, you asked a very good question today. Ustad thought he might have learned it from somewhere. And then another question, and then another question. So Ustad said, Ya Sa'ad, innaka al-yawm laghayruka fima mada. Oh Sa'ad, today you are a totally different person. What has happened? And he related the dream and said, this is due to the barakat of your hard work and your effort, that Allah had mercy upon you, and your condition was put before Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's ruh, he supported you, helped you, and from then on his mind opened up, and he went on to become the Imam of the fun of Ma'qulat. So this is hard work, second adab of learning. Number 3, for those who want to study hadith, we teach them to make sure their Arabic grammar is correct. Don't make any grammatical mistakes. Because when you are reading, reciting hadith, and you make grammatical mistakes, then you relate that to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. In other words, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said those words in the wrong way, whereas he didn't. So you could fall into that hadith where there is wa'id of someone who forges the hadith and relates it to me, then فَلْيَتَبَوَّأْ مَقْعَدَهُ مِنَ النَّارِ. So we don't want to fall for that. You have to know grammar properly and read the Arabic according to the grammatical manner, and don't change the i'rab and the vowels by mistake. And number 4, fourth adab is amal bil hadith. When you learn hadith, try to practice on that hadith. Hazrat Shaykh Nawarallahu Marqadahu writes in Awjazul Masalik, Muqaddama of Awjazul Masalik, Muwatta Imam Malik, Al-amalu bil hadith zakatul hadith wa sababul li hifzihi. Practicing upon a hadith is the zakat of that hadith, and it is a reason for memorizing that hadith. He says that if you learn one hadith today and you practice upon it, it will be set in your mind that this hadith is like this. For example, you learn the hadith of Salatul Tasbih, and at that night you pray Salatul Tasbih, then you will have learned that hadith. And throughout your life you will remember what is the practical method of Salatul Tasbih and how it is prayed. So you have practiced it, you have memorized it. This is, when you study something, practice upon it. Let's say, for example, our Hanafi mazhab is that Raf'i Yadain is jaiz, allowed after ruku', before ruku', and after finishing ruku'. However, the more preferred version is to not do Raf'i Yadain. But when we study the book of hadith, and the hadith of Raf'i Yadain in Bukhari Sharif came, our Ustad Hazrat Maulana Islamul Aqsab Rahmatullah Alayhi told us that today pray 2 rakats with Raf'ul Yadain, because we have read this hadith that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam raised his hand. So read 2 rakats in your own time, in your privacy, and not in front of everyone. Just pray 2 rakats with Raf'ul Yadain. You will learn where the Raf'ul Yadain is, how it is done, and you will have practice on the hadith which you learned today as well. So when you read a hadith, try to practice upon it. However, just remember one thing, that hadith should not be mansukh, abrogated, or that hadith should not be against any verse of the Quran or another mutawatir or mashhur hadith, because there might be something in there which we don't understand, which the mujtahideen understood. There might be some speciality exclusively for someone specially, and it will not be a general hukm and ruling for everyone, or something like that. Therefore, just keep that in in mind that the hadith should not be against another ayat of Quran hadith, because there might be some reason behind it. So this should be kept in mind. For example, reading behind the Imam. If you go through that hadith, don't read, because Quran said وَإِذَا قُرِيَ الْقُرْآنِ فَاسْتَمِعُوا لَهُ وَأَنصِتُوا لَعَلَّكُمْ تُرْحَمُونَ. So keep quiet behind Imam, as the Prophet ﷺ said, وَإِذَا قَرَى فَأَنصِتُوا. So think we are practicing on that hadith. And this hadith, there is some reason behind it, whatever Rasulullah ﷺ meant from it. This debate and discussion is for the mujtahideen, leave it to them. So Amr ibn Qais al-Mula'i used to say, إِذَا بَلَغَكَ شَيْءٌ مِّنَ الْحَدِيثِ فَاعْمَلْ بِهِ وَلَوْ مَرَّةً تَكُنْ مِنْ أَهْلِهِ. When a hadith reaches you, then practice upon it. Even if you do it once only, you will be included among those who are related to the hadith. Waqi' ibn al-Jarrah said, إِذَا أَرَدْتَ أَن تَحْفَظَ الْحَدِيثِ فَاعْمَلْ بِهِ. If you want to memorize the hadith, then practice upon it. Learn it properly, understand it, then practice upon it. Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal rahmatullah alayhi said, مَا كَتَبْتُ حَدِيثًا إِلَّا وَقَدْ عَمِلْتُ بِهِ حتى مر بي أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم احتجم وأعطى أبا طيبة دينارا فاحتجمت وأعطيت الحجام دينارا. Whenever I wrote a hadith, I practiced upon it. Once I passed by the hadith that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had cupping done upon his body, and he gave Abu Tayba, the Hajjam, the person who did that cupping, 1 dinar. Now 1 dinar is a 1 gold coin, which is too much, a price for hijamat and cupping. But since Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was extremely generous, and he was kind, and he, through his generosity, he gave 1 dinar. Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal rahmatullah says, I also went to a hajjam, and I had hijamat and cupping done on my body, and I gave him 1 dinar in order to practice on that hadith which I had learned that day. So these are our aslaf. When they read a hadith, they try to practice upon it. So hadith is there for practicing. Practice on it. Number 5. Moving on to ta'zeemul ustaz. We should respect the ustad. And ustad is ustaz. Teacher is teacher. You have to respect your teacher. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses the word ta'zeem in Quran in Surah Al-Hajj. ذَلِكَ وَمَنْ يُعَظِّمْ شَعَائِرَ اللَّهِ فَإِنَّهَا مِنْ تَقْوَى الْقُلُوبِ. Whosoever does ta'zeem and respect of the symbols of Allah, then this is due to the taqwa of his heart. Sha'airullah, symbol of Allah, anything that is connected to Allah. Whether it's Ka'batullah, whether it's Makkah Mukarramah, whether it's Medina Munawwara, whether it's Rasulullah, or whether it's Waliullah, whether it's Quran, the book of Allah, or anything that is connected to Allah, you show respect to that, then this is because you have taqwa and piety in your heart. That's why you are showing respect to that symbol of Allah, something specially connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you have to show ta'zeem, respect to your teacher. And I would add over here, not just a teacher of deen, also teacher of dunya as well. You have to respect them. You know, if you go to school, college, uni, your professor, your teacher, don't abuse them, don't insult them, don't criticize them, and don't hurt them, don't do anything bad to them. Be kind, and they are teaching you. You might say they get paid for it. Okay, they get paid for it, but they are still your teachers. They are benefiting you. You should respect your teachers. You should respect your professors. After all, he is working hard upon you. He is trying his best to impart that knowledge and pass it on to you. So you should be grateful to him, the teacher of the dunyavi knowledge as well. And with regards to the teacher of deen, you should be more particular, more careful. And the As-Salaf, if you look at them, Mughira says, Kunna nahabu Ibrahim kama nahabu al-Amir. We used to stay in awe of our teacher Ibrahim, just as we would stay in awe of the king. If the king came, everybody would be, scared and alert. Similarly, we paid same homage and same respect to our teacher Ibrahim al-Nakhai as well. in the hadith there is narrated that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Tawadha'u liman ta'allamuna minhu." Make yourself humble before those from whom you learn. Your teachers, you should humble yourself before them. So this is hadith marfu' or mawquf. There are two versions. Imam Bayhaqi rahmatullahi alayhi narrated it, and he said that it is mawquf on Umar ibn Khattab radiyallahu anhu, and it is a saying of Umar radiyallahu anhu. So try and be humble in front of your teachers. Imam Abu Ubaid al-Qasim ibn Salam says, ما دققت على محدث بابه قط لقوله تعالى ولو أنهم صبروا حتى تخرج إليهم لكان خيرا لهم. I never knocked on the door of a muhaddith, a hadith teacher, because Allah has said that if they had stayed patient until you came out to them, then that would have been better for them. So keeping that in mind, I always waited for the teacher ustaz to come out, and I never knocked them and called them outside to come and teach me. Imam Shafi'i rahmatullahi alayhi, it is related regarding him that he used to turn the pages quietly in front of Imam Malik rahmatullahi alayhi. Imam Malik rahmatullahi alayhi, in his majlis there was pin drop silence. So when he would turn the pages of a kitab, then he would turn that with silently, quietly, without making any noise. Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal rahmatullahi alayhi, he would never mention the name by mention ustad by the name. He would always mention ustad by his kunniyat, agnomen, because there is respect in them. A saying of Sayyiduna Ali radiyallahu anhu is narrated, "Man allamani harfan sirtu lahu abdan." Whosoever teaches me one word, one letter, I have become his slave. That I will treat him like a master because he's taught me and he did so much ihsan and favor to me. Shaykh Zakaria rahmatullahi alayhi says that the respect of teacher should be in zahir and in batin. That it should not be only outward respect, the respect should be in the heart as well. Sometimes some students show respect outside and they wait for the teacher, stand humbly in front, but in the heart they don't have that respect. So respect should be outwardly and inwardly as well. Otherwise, if you don't have a respect for teacher in your heart, then you will be made mahroom and deprived of the barakat of knowledge. Imam Bukhari rahmatullahi alayhi used to say, "Ma ra'aytu awqara lil muhaddithin min Yahya ibn Ma'in." I have not seen anyone more respectful towards muhaddithin than Yahya ibn Ma'in. Yahya ibn Ma'in was extremely respectful to the asatiza and to the muhaddithin. So you should show that respect. A poet has said, رأيت أحق الحق حق المعلم وأوجبه حفظا على كل مسلم لقد حق أن يهدى إليه كرامة لتعليم حرف واحد ألف درهم. I have seen that the biggest right upon a person is the right of a muallim, a teacher, and it is the one which deserves to be protected and safeguarded most upon a Muslim. And he deserves to be given for teaching every harf 1,000 dirhams. That is why when in the Islam, when they used to, we hear stories like, for example, one of the kings, he gave his son to some ustad for teaching, and the ustad taught, and after some time he offered him some, gift, and the teacher said, "No, I don't want that gift, and I didn't teach him for dunya, I taught him for the akhirat." So the king said, "Thank you very much, Jazakallah," but he took his son away from him and took him to another person, another ustad. He said, "Of course you teach for the akhirat, but when some gift is offered to you, then there is no harm in taking to you. You didn't ask for it, you had no greed for it. I offered you on my own, so you should have taken it." But he said that you deserve this. It's your haqq and it's your right. That's why I offered it to you. So even though our aslaf, many of them, they taught for free and they didn't like taking remuneration. And Shaykh Zakaria rahmatullah, they never took any wages from Madrasa Mazailum Saharanpur throughout his life. Never, not a single penny. He taught for 55 years without taking a single penny. He put his trust upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He had a small bookshop. from which books would be sold, and from that he would earn his living. And from the madrasa, he never took a single penny. He taught hadith for 55 years, and from those 55 he taught hadith Sahih al-Bukhari for 45 years. So, such a great muhaddith, and he wrote many works. The work you see behind me, Awjazul Masalik, and also other books of Hazrat Shaykh Rahmatullah alayhi spread throughout the globe. May Allah shower His mercy upon the grave of Shaykh Zakaria Rahmatullah alayhi, and accept his good works which he has put forward to the ummah. So, this is, teaching just for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with utmost respect, with respect for the asatiza. In fact, respect should not be only for the asatiza, but also of anything that is connected to the asatiza, connected to learning. For example, the fellows, your friends who sit by your side, the books, you should respect the books. The books of hadith deserve respect. Today, people just throw books around here and there. In fact, we have heard that some people in the, Azhar University or elsewhere, they treat books of hadith or fiqh and, Islamic texts like any other novel in the universities. And when they go outside during the free time, lunchtime or, free time, and they want to sit somewhere, they just take the book and, wipe the dust with that book, in which there is hadith, and then they sit over there. So, like the books of dunya novel, they treat the books of hadith like that, in which there are Qur'ani ayat like that. That should not be the case. You should show some respect to the books as well. Our Aslab, how much respect they used to show? Shamsul Aimma al-Hulwani, rahmatullahi alayhi, a great faqih, says, Ma akhaztul kaghada illa bi taharatin. I never touched a clean paper as well without wudu. Never mind Quran, never mind book of hadith or fiqh, even a clean piece of paper with nothing written on it. I never touched a clean piece of paper without wuzu. I always studied with wuzu, and I always took the pen and the paper with wuzu for respect of it. Once I was with my Ustad, Sheikh Yunus Sahib Damat Barakatuhum. He asked for a tissue paper, and I offered him a tissue paper, and there was something written on it. And he said, what is this? I said, this is the name of the company written on the tissue. And he said, oh no, I'm not going to use it. I said, why? As I said, and he said, these are alphabets, whether they are in English or whatever in there, but they are alphabets. They are tools of spreading the knowledge and passing on the knowledge. So, how can we use that for our own self, or for cleaning our, blowing the nose, or for istinja or anything? Because there's alphabets on there, and alphabets are a source of passing on the knowledge. So this is the respect they show to the tools of knowledge. Respect to your friend, to the kitabs, the books, to the benches you put on, to the pen with which you write. You shouldn't throw pen at one another. Show respect to that pen, because it is a tool of knowledge. So this is how our Aslaf, they used to respect anything that is connected to the knowledge. So this is adab and ta'zeem of Ustad. Moving on, we teach the students that when you learn, then you should note down, whatever the Ustad teaches you. The sixth adab, that whatever Ustad teaches you, try and write it down, note it down. And alhamdulillah, this is a good habit among the university students. Sometimes we see them, when we go to some place for a lecture, they sit down with pen and paper and they note things down. This noting down is very important, because human mental brain doesn't remember everything. We forget. We also forget. We have to note things down as well. And that is why someone has said, Al-ilmu saydun wal-kitabatu qaydun. Ilm is a prey, and writing it is hunting it. So when you write it, you have put it in the cage and you have caught it. So catch as much ilm as you can and don't let go of it. Abdullah ibn Mubarak rahmatullahi alayhi used to say, Ma intakhabtu ala alimin qattu illa nadimtu. Yahya ibn Ma'in used to say, Sahibul intikhabi yandam. He used to say, إذا كتبت فقمش وإذا حدثت ففتش. That when you study, then sweep everything. Whatever the teacher says, write it down. And when you teach, then investigate properly before teaching. So at the time of studying, note everything, and at the time of teaching, differentiate between what you teach, and be careful of and understand everything that you teach properly. This is the sixth adab. And seventh adab is that when studying, don't let pride or haya and shame, modesty stop you from asking a good question. If you have any questions, ask the teacher. Don't be proud of yourself that, why should I ask this question? Or don't be shy that, this is, I feel shy. If you can't ask in front of the other class, then afterwards outside, when the ustad, the teacher is outside, go and ask him. So don't let pride or haya stop you. Don't let takabbur or haya stop you from asking any good questions you have in your mind. Ask and clear your mind. And Imam Bukhari rahmatullahi alayhi has narrated from Mujahid ibn Jabr, La yanalu al-ilma mustahyin wa la mustakbirun. A person with haya or kibr will not get ilm because he will not ask and he will not learn. He will stay where he is. Umar ibn Khattab radiyallahu anhu used to say, Man raqqa wajhuhu daqqa ilmuhu. Whosoever humbles his face, then his knowledge will be daqiq and subtle, and he will get into the in-depth of the knowledge, and he will bring good from there. And this is also related to taqwa and piety as well. Because there is a hadith which says, Man amila bima alima, أورثه الله علم ما لم يعلم. Ibn Abdul Bar narrated in Jami'u Bayan al-Ilmi wa Fadlihi. Whosoever practices upon whatever he learns, then Allah will give him the inheritance and make him an heir of that knowledge which he didn't know. Allah will instill in his heart, Allah will open up his mind, and Allah will give him the knowledge which he didn't know, because he practiced, he showed adab and respect to those things connected to the ilm. So this is connected to knowledge. Asma'i used to say, Man lam yahtamil dhull al-ta'allumi sa'atan baqiya fi dhull al-jahli abadan. Whosoever doesn't tolerate the humiliation or disgrace or being low during studying, then he will stay in the state of ignorance forever. So if you think that if I ask this question I will become zaleel and humiliated and disgraced, so I'm not going to ask it, then you won't learn that masala and you will stay ignorant of it forever. And this is why Shaykh Zakaria rahmatullah alayhi writes that وَلْيَصْبِرْ عَلَى جَفَاءِ الشَّيْخِ فَفِيهِ فَوَائِدُ مُجَرَّبَةٌ لَا تُحْصَى. If the shaykh is a bit harsh, then you should be patient, because tolerance and patience will bear its fruits, and there are many benefits in there which are beyond one's comprehension. Number 8, another adab for a learner of hadith is that whenever the name of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam comes up, then he should send salat and salam, salutations upon the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And if he is writing his name, then he should write with his name sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because this is respect to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, whose hadith we are learning, and we should do that. And there is great benefit in there. Khatib Baghdadi rahmatullahi alayhi writes in one place, كلما ذكر النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم صلى عليه ويرفع بها صوته وكلما ذكر صحابيا رد عليه فإن كان ابن صحابي قال رضي الله عنهما وكذلك يترحم على الأئمة. Whenever the mention of the Prophet ﷺ is made, then one should send salat and salam upon the Prophet ﷺ. And he should say it with some voice, so the person sitting next to him can also say it. And whenever our sahabi is mentioned, then a person should say radiyallahu anhu. Or if he is the son of a sahabi, then he should say radiyallahu anhuma. And whenever aimma are mentioned, then he should say rahmatullahi alayhi. Imam Bukhari rahmatullahi alayhi. Imam Muslim rahmatullahi alayhi. Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullahi alayhi. So you should say Imam Shafi'i, Imam Malik rahmatullahi alayhi. So take their name rahmatullahi alayhi. In fact, Khatib Baghdadi says that Rabi' ibn Sulaiman, the great student of Imam Shafi'i rahmatullahi alayhi, who had great love for Imam Shafi'i rahmatullahi alayhi, was once teaching, and the Qadi, who was the reader who was reading the hadith, said, حدثكم الشافعي قال حدثني فلان. And Rabi ibn Sulaiman immediately stopped him. He said, ولا حرف حتى يقال رضي الله عنه. You can't move a single letter forward until you say radiyallahu anhu with the name of Imam Shafi'i. And the reciter said, حدثكم الشافعي رضي الله عنه, and then he moved on. So sometimes when the Imam is great and he has done khidmat, you have love for that Imam and you say radiyallahu anhu as well, it would be allowed and it would be okay. So this is another adab of learning hadith. Number 9, another adab is whatever you learn, try to memorize it. Meaning, in the evening, don't just put everything in the room and throw the books away here and there. Rather, in the evening, when you have free time, whatever lesson you had learned throughout the day, try and memorize it. Go over your copies, your books, whatever Ustad has taught, and learn it, and memorize it, and you understand it properly. If you don't understand it, ask of the other fellow students to explain to you. This is what Sayyiduna Ali karramallahu wajhahu said, تَذَاكَرُوا هَذَا الْحَدِيثِ إِلَّا تَفْعَلُوا يَدْرُسْ. Make muzakara of this hadith, because if you don't do so, then the hadith will be wiped out. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu anhu said, تَذَاكَرُوا الْحَدِيثِ فَإِنَّ حَيَاتَهُ مُذَاكَرَتَهُ. Mention the hadith among yourself and do muzakara, reminding one another of hadith, because hadith will stay alive by its muzakara and reminding of one another. Ibn Abbas radiyallahu anhu used to say, mudhakaratul ilmi sa'atan khayrun min ihya'i laylatin. Muzakara of ilm for a moment is better than staying awake throughout the whole night. Abu Sa'id al-Khudri radiyallahu anhu used to say, Mudhakaratul hadith afdalu min qira'atil Qur'an. Going over the ahadith and muzakara of ahadith is better than reciting the Qur'an. So these are some of the adab. Along with the last and 10th adab, Hazrat Shaykh Rahmatullah Ali has mentioned elsewhere that be punctual of the lessons. Don't miss any lessons. Shaykh Rahmatullah Ali says, when I was studying hadith under my father, Mishkatul Masabih, and then Bukhari, Muslim, Tirmidhi, Nasai, Abi Dawud, Alhamdulillah, throughout the whole year, I never missed a single hadith. I was punctual of 2 things. Number 1, not to miss a single hadith, never mind a lesson. Every hadith I recited or heard in front of my father. And number 2 was, I wanted to learn every hadith with wudu. I was never without wudu. Every time my wudu broke, I quickly went and did wudu. And he said, I sat with wudu, and only throughout the whole year, only few incidents, sometimes it happened that wudu broke, I had to go wudu. So what I used to do was, I had an understanding with my class fellow, that if this happens, then I'll elbow you, and you ask father a question, and in the meantime, I'll go and do wudu and come back quickly, so my hadith won't be missed. And that's what he used to do. He also did the same, that once he, elbowed Hazrat Shaykh Rahmatullah alayhi and rushed for wudu. So Hazrat Shaykh asked question that, Abba, in Hidayah it is written like this. So his father said to him, why am I going to talk to you about your hadith, your ibarat of Hidayah? Let me tell you a story. And then he, told him a story, and during that time, his friend came back with wuzu. So, try and read with wuzu, and try not to miss a hadith. These are the adab which we teach to the students. Among the adab is also, finishing off after the 10 adab, timekeeping. Be punctual of your times. Time is very valuable. Don't waste time. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took the oath on qasam of time in the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Wal Asr, Innal Insana Lafi Khusr, Illa alladhina amanu wa amilu salihati wa tawasaw bil haqqi wa tawasaw bis sabr. By the time, surely mankind is in a great loss, except for those who believe, who work righteous deeds, and who instruct one another to be patient, and instruct one another with truth and haqq. So, why did Allah take qasam, an oath of time? Because time is extremely precious. People say time is money. However, I would say no, time is more than money. Money comes and goes. Today you are poor, one day you are wealthy, other day you become poor, you get wealth again. It's something that comes and goes. But time, once it goes, it doesn't come back. So it's more than money. So you have to value whatever time you have. That is why the Arabic poet said, الوقت أنفس ما عنيت بحفظه وأراه أسهل ما عليك يضيع. Time is the thing for which you have been instructed to guard it most. And I see that it is the thing that is most easily wasted. So don't waste time. Take care of your time. Imam Shafi'i rahmatullah alayhi says, I stayed in the company of the Sufis and I learned two things from them. Number one, الوقت كالسيف القاطع فإن لم تقطعه قطعك. Time is like a sharp sword. If you don't cut it, it will cut you. And another thing, نفسك إن شغلتها بالحق وإلا شغلتك بالباطل. Your nafs, if you don't busy your nafs with haqq, your nafs will busy you with batil. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu anhu said, ما ندمت على شيء مثل ندمي على يوم غربت فيه الشمس نقص فيه أجلي ولم يزد فيه من عملي. I have never regretted upon anything as much as I have regretted on a day in which the sun set. My life reduced and my amal did not increase in there. I was at the same level I was before. Umar ibn Abdul Aziz used to say, إِنَّ اللَّيْلَ وَالنَّهَارَ يَعْمَلَانِ فِيكَ فَعْمَلْ فِيهِمَا. Day and night are working on you, so you work on them. Hasan Basri rahmatullah alayhi used to say, يَا ابْنَ آدَمْ إِنَّمَا أَنْتَ أَيَّامٌ فَإِذَا ذَهَبَ يَوْمٌ ذَهَبَ بَعْضُ. O son of Adam, you are the name of days. When a day passes, then part of you has passed. Because life is made up of years, 60, 70, 80 years, whatever life Allah gives us. May Allah give us long life with afiyat and barakat. But this life is made up of years, and years are made up of months, and months from weeks, weeks from days, days from hours, hours from minutes, minutes from seconds. So minute, second, hours, days, weeks, months, years are our life. That's us. That's us. So Hasan Basri said, you are nothing but days. So if a day has passed, then you have passed. So make sure you utilize that day and don't let it go to waste. Amir ibn Abd Qais, who is among the Tabi'een and who is among the Zuhad, he said, someone said to Amir, Kallimni, can you please talk to me for a moment? And he said, Amsiki shams hatta ukallimak. Stop the sun and I will talk to you. I can't stop the sun. It keeps going, moving. I said, well, I'm sorry, I don't have time to talk. And he continued with whatever he was doing. Abdul Rahman ibn Mahdi used to say, if someone said to Hammad ibn Salama, ما يستاد لو قيل لحماد ibn Salama إنك تموت غدا ما قدر أن يزيد في العمل شيئا. That you're going to die tomorrow, he would not be able to increase any of his amal. Because he was always mashghul and busy, either teaching hadith or reading Quran, or busy in salah, or busy in tasbih and zikr and glorifying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He had divided his day into these acts. So that is why Yunus al-Mu'addib says, Mata Hammad ibn Salamata wa huwa fi salah. That Hammad ibn Salama died in salah. Because he was punctual of salah and he liked salah and he kept himself busy. Hafiz ibn Hajar al-Asqalani rahmatullah alayhi, he also kept himself busy in one of three things. Either teaching hadith to students, or tasneef ta'lif, writing books, or number three, reciting the Quran. So these are the three things among which he had distributed his time apart from his daily necessities. Otherwise he would be either busy teaching or writing or reading the Quran. Khalid ibn Ahmad Nahwi used to say, أثقل الساعات علي ساعة آكل فيها. The most burdensome time upon me is the time in which I sit down to eat. I wish Allah had not kept this eating and my time would be saved. And that is why many among the greats would not eat twice a day, only once in a day they would eat. Muhammad ibn Suhnun al-Maliki, or Ubayd ibn Ya'ish, who is the Shaykh of Bukhari and Muslim, says, أقمت 30 سنة ما أكلت بيدي الليلة كانت أختي تلقمني وأنا أكتب الحديث. For 30 years I stayed in such a state that I never ate with my own hands. My sister would bring food, she would make morsels and feed me and then go away. Because I would be busy in writing hadith and noting them down. Shaykh Zakaria rahmatullahi alayhi, he also says that I would be busy in my studying, and in the evening my sister would come with the food and she would feed me and go. When my sister passed away, there was no one to feed me, so my evening meal was wiped out. For a few days I felt the hunger and then finished. I would only eat once, and that was in the afternoon. During the day, at other time in the evening, I would be busy in my studying and reading. The author of Hidayah, Burhanuddin al-Marghinani rahmatullahi alayhi, it is said regarding him that when he was writing al-Hidayah, it took him so many years, and during that time he always fasted, kept roza in such a manner that his family didn't know. Because when he would be going to his place of study and writing, they would give him the food, pack lunch, and he would take that pack lunch with him, food, and he would go there. And when it would be lunchtime, he would just come out of his place and look for any poor person and call him in, tell him to eat the food. He would eat and go away, and he would bring the empty utensils home and eat after Maghrib. So his family would think that he ate in the afternoon, but in reality he hadn't eaten anything, and he had kept roza, fasting, without letting anyone know that he is fasting. So he only used to eat once throughout the day. There were many who would not waste time in eating as well, and use that time for doing something. Imam Muhammad ibn Hassan al-Shaybani, he wouldn't sleep at night. He would always stay awake. And he would keep with him, many daftars and books. And he would look into one book, and if he would get tired, then he would change the subject, go to another subject, and start studying that subject. He would keep a bowl of water by his side, and he would dip his hand in there, and then he would rub his eyes, and he would say, "An-nawm min al-harara," that sleep comes due to heat. So get rid of the heat, and sleep will go away as well. Someone said to him, "Why do you work so hard? Get some rest, sleep a little bit." And he would say that, "How can I sleep when the old lady in the corner of Iraq has a good night's sleep, relying on me, thinking that if I have any problematic situation, I will go to Muhammad ibn al-Hasan and he will solve it for me. So if I also go to sleep, then what is the difference between me and her? I have to study, I have to research, I have to understand, so that when any tricky question is brought before me, I have the solution ready in my hand, and I can give the answer immediately, and I don't have to say, oh, I'll have to look it up, and I'll have to research, and then tell you after a week or a month or something like that. I can give the answer immediately. For that reason, I have to keep on looking through the books and keep studying." Muhammad ibn Salam al-Baykandi, a great muhaddith, was in the majlis of Imla, and Shaykh was teaching hadith, and Shaykh was dictating and he was writing. His pen broke, and this is with regards to spending money, how they would spend money for knowledge. His pen broke, so immediately he called out, "Qalamun bidinar, qalamun bidinar," and many qalams and pens flew towards him. He took one qalam and continued to write, and paid that person 1 dinar after that. He did not want to miss out on what the teacher had said, and immediately bought another pen and started writing with it. Muhammad ibn Suhnun al-Maliki had a slave girl. So one night he was busy in writing something, and the slave girl brought food with her, and she sat, and he said to her, "I'm busy at the moment." So she sat there, and the night stretched, and when the time was prolonged, she started making morsels and feeding him. He kept on eating and busy in his work, and kept working. She fed him, and she was still sitting there, and he kept busy in working. And suddenly the Muazzin called out the Fajr Azan, "Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar." And Muhammad ibn Suhnun raised his head, and he looked at the lady and said, "Oh, I'm really sorry. I kept you sitting here, and the food has gone cold as well. And you did so much for me. I didn't eat the food." And she said, "I fed you the food." "Hey, you fed me the food? I didn't realize." "Yes, I fed you. You've eaten it." "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize. I was so busy in working." This is the condition. Imam Muslim rahmatullahi alayhi, in his story of his death, the same situation, that he was teaching hadith, he mentioned a hadith, and someone said, "Oh, Imam Muslim, no, this is different, and the hadith is like this, you taught us this like that." So Imam Muslim said, "Okay, I'll have to look it up." He went immediately into the house. He entered a room in which there were his books and his exercise books, his notebooks and his other kitabs as well. And he started searching for the hadith. And someone from the family members came and said, a basket full of dates has arrived. Do you want it? And he said, put it down. And he started eating the dates and looking and start eating the dates. So he didn't realize what he was doing because he was so much into it that he finished all the basket of khajur and dates as well, and the hadith was found as well while it was morning. And Abu Abdullah al-Naishapuri says that after a few days Imam Muslim passed away, and this was because of eating too many dates at that time without realizing what was happening. So when someone is engrossed in something, they don't realize. This was the condition of Muhammad ibn Suhnun al-Maliki rahmatullahi alayh. Imam Shafi'i rahmatullahi alayh was asked by someone. Imam Muzani says, قِيلَ لِلشَّافِعِيِّ كَيْفَ شَهْوَتُكَ لِلْعِلْمِ, how is your desire and shahwat for ilm? And he said, أسمع بالحرف مما لم أسمعه فتود أعضائي أن لها أسماعا تتنعم به مثل ما تنعمت به الأذنان. Sometimes I hear something really nice, and which I had never heard before. So my whole body, has this feeling, and I wish that my whole body had ears, so they could also get the lazzat, which lazzat my ears got upon hearing that something new and that amazing information. And he asked him, وَكَيْفَ حِرْصُكَ عَلَيْهِمْ, how is your hirs and greed upon acquiring this knowledge? And he said, حِرْصُ الْجَمُوعِ الْمَنُوعِ فِي بُلُوغِ لَذَّتِهِ لِلْمَالِ, that my hirs and greed is like the hirs of that wealthy person who hoards wealth and who gathers and collects, and he doesn't give a single penny to anyone. He is stingy and he is gathering, he's always after money, and he gets so lazzat and taste out of gathering that money. So my hirs for ilm is the similar of to that person's hirs for wealth and money. And he asked her, كيف طلبك له, and how do you search for it and try to acquire it? And he replied, طلب المرأة المضلة ولدها ليس لها غيره. My search for knowledge is like the search of that woman who had only one child, and she lost the child, and she's gone berserk, and she's going around and looking everywhere, in every home, every corner of the town, wherever she can find it. That it is in that manner that I search the knowledge wherever I can, whichever book, whichever kitab, whichever teacher, whichever ustad I go and try to learn from him. If you learn in this way, value your time, then you will get the ilm and knowledge. This is why I finish on Imam Shafi'i rahmatullah alayhi's few couplets, wherein he says, اصبر على مر الجفا من معلمي فإن رسوب العلم في نفراته ومن لم يذق ذل التعلم ساعة تجرع ذل الجهل طول حياته ومن فاته التعليم وقت شبابه فكبر عليه أربعا لوفاته حياة الفتى والله بالعلم والتقى حياة الفتى والله بالعلم والتقى إذا لم يكونا لا اعتبار لذاته. This is Imam Shafi'i rahmatullah alayhi said that the life of a young man by Allah is through two things, ilm and taqwa. If a person has no ilm, he has no taqwa, then la i'tibara li dhatihi, he doesn't deserve to be given any attention and any credit. So may Allah give us the tawfiq to practice upon what we say. May Allah give us the tawfiq to have some respect in our hearts and our minds for our teachers and for everything that is connected to knowledge, to respect our teachers, whether they belong to teachers of deen or teachers of dunya, and to learn, and if whatever we learn from the deeni side, give us the tawfiq to put into practice and learn from the seerah of our kabir, our mashayikh. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen wa sallallahu wa sallam ala sayyidina Muhammad wa alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in bi rahmatika ya arhamar rahim.